Over the next 6 lessons, we will give you the information and the ability to be able to work safely in environments that may be of restricted size. Even in this age of technological advancements and improved employment conditions, some professionals will still need to access and operate in spaces that may feel cramped and hazardous to many. In this first lesson, we will explain the specifics of confined spaced working and why the training is needed. So, let's get started. The term confined space is loaded with negative associations. It makes us think automatically of imprisonment, cramped or painful conditions. Many people have claustrophobia, which is an irrational fear of such areas. It even creeps into literary sources, such as US author Lauren DeStefano writing, "There is no darkness like that of a confined space," for an extra frisson of fear.
The Health and Safety Executive, or the HSE, is the government agency responsible for regulating and enforcing workplace safety. On its website and/or documentation, it defines a confined space as being a place which is substantially enclosed, though not always entirely, and where serious injury can occur from hazardous substances or conditions within the space or nearby. In other words, it is a sheltered area that contains a risk to a worker if precautions and care are not taken.
Several workers are killed or seriously injured in the UK each year due to their duties or activities necessitating their presence in a confined space. These can occur across a wide range of industries, from those who mine for substances to those working in industrial plants and even those loading storage vessels or vehicles.
Training can help to prevent these fatalities and increase awareness of the dangers. Confined spaces are generally not designed to accommodate the average human body comfortably and may make it difficult to extend the limbs or whole body. Typical environments of this sort would include sewer or water tunnels, maintenance holes or maintenance access tunnels, wells or hydration systems, farming silos, storage areas or ship holds, small unventilated rooms or cupboards, compression chambers in factories and furnaces.
So why is there still a need to put people at risk and have workers enter confined spaces during their routines? Realistically, a significant number of industries still require regular maintenance to be performed in awkwardly placed areas. This cannot be done automatically and without the reasoning powers of a trained professional. Working in environments may also mean that the available area for operations is minimal. Think of a sewage tunnel or the small cabin that a crane driver works in.
It should also be remembered that not only is there a risk to workers in a confined space, but there could also be a risk of danger to any employees or personnel who may attempt to rescue them in an emergency. The greater likelihood of someone experiencing difficulties or becoming trapped will make the efforts to rescue them that much more hazardous.
Because an area is restricted or significantly covered, it will naturally inhibit a person's movements. Not only that, but it also magnifies the risk of any other hazards in the vicinity. This means that toxic vapours will be more condensed, smoke will build up more rapidly, and smells will become more overpowering. The lack of ventilation and air movement is as much as an issue as would be the ability to move or manoeuvre a human body. So, let's just focus on the most common and deadly hazards that could be faced in a confined space for a moment. Breathing issues would arise from lack of oxygen. Chemicals or pressure can quickly displace oxygen in small places and make it impossible to breathe. Gases and fumes. Exposure to industrial or natural gases will soon become a problem in badly ventilated areas.
dust and fibres. Airborne pollutants will fill a small area and make it impossible to take in breaths of pure air without choking. Smoke. Even a small piece of burning material can cause smoke to fill an area rapidly and make breathing difficult.
Other life-threatening issues could arise from unexpected flooding or heavy rain filling up crevices or operational areas. Fire prevention is also essential in cramped conditions, as there will be little opportunity to react effectively before it spreads to a serious degree. So the assessment of hazards needs to be given the highest of priority, as we'll see in one of our future lessons.
As part of health and safety measures, there must always be an available access point for colleagues and emergency workers. Where employers fail to consider this, the law is being essentially ignored, and it can lead to court proceedings. This also applies to spaces that could be subject to extreme temperatures, where hot or cold can build accordingly and cause a danger to life.
Before moving forward, it is worth stressing the importance of training and competence when it comes to working in a confined space. Employees should never be put in a situation where they are asked to work in those conditions without being adequately trained and confident in their abilities. Likewise, an employer should never appoint a person to work in a confined space if they are not competent to do so.
Typically, many types of careers, roles, or jobs could involve confined space working. The role of confined space operative can be easily found on UK job search engines. Other well-known job titles that could involve this work would include emergency rescue workers, builders or construction workers, civic engineers, miners and excavation workers, environmental cleaners and maintenance crews, electricians, and heavy equipment operators. Inevitably, the role and circumstances will determine the size and nature of a working space and whether it can be considered to be confined.
Ultimately, the purpose of confined space training and any permits or regulations related to it is not just for administration purposes. It is to fulfil a very real need to ensure that a worker's well-being is assured and protected in an environment that could potentially be harmful for them or those around them. Ideally, training will be preventative measures, and these will mean that this is not the case.
Of course, how confined space working is handled is not left to the discretion of an employer or of the worker themselves. A number of stringent laws and regulations for health and safety in the workplace are in place, as well as acts that specifically cover this subject and stakeholders' responsibilities.
So that completes this first lesson, where we have explored the principles of a confined space working and why their training for it is so important. Stay with us for the rest of the course and the next lesson, where we look at UK laws and legislation regarding this subject in greater detail. See you very soon.